Do you agree with state-sanctioned hunts to thin the deer population? Or do you think it's a cruel and inhumane way to deal with the problem? In the war of man versus deer, where do you stand? It's your call right now. It's that time of the year again, time for the annual battle pitting man versus deer to begin. And it's time for our debate on how to deal with it to begin as well. Hi there, everyone. It's good to have you with us. I'm Lynn Doyle. Our topic today I'm calling Man versus Deer, and it's prompted by the yearly state-sanctioned hunts throughout the country known as culling the herd. Now, supporters, which include the courts in many cases, say this practice of allowing hunters onto state park grounds at certain times of the year to hunt helps to thin the deer population, protects natural resources, and even helps feed the hungry. But opponents, and each year there are many who protest these hunts, they say it's cruel and inhumane to essentially trap the animals in their natural habitat, and that it's man that's created the problems with our overdevelopment and increased traffic. That's what they say about this topic, but as always, you know I want to see what you have to say about it. Which side of this issue are you on? Do you agree with the hunts and think it's the best way to deal with a difficult problem? Or do you think it's wrong to cull the herds in such a manner? And if you oppose the hunts, what would a better solution be, in your opinion? If you want to tell us what you think, you know how it works. You can email me directly starting right now. I'm at lynn@lynndoyle.net. You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Now, we're going to hear from you later in the show, but right now, let's hear from our guests. We've got some good ones for you. The two guests in favor of culling are Dr. Emil DeVito, who is the Manager of Science and Stewardship at the New Jersey Conservation Foundation. Dr. DeVito develops management plans for the Foundation's 20,000 plus acres of holdings designed to protect and enhance biological diversity. Also with us is Barry Bessler, who is the Chief of Staff for Philadelphia Parks and Recreation. He was Chief of Staff of Fairmont Park Commission 13 years ago when the deer cull began in the Wissahickon and Pennypack parks. The two guests who are opposed to the so-called culling include Attorney Lee Hall, who is the Vice President for Legal Affairs for Friends of Animals, which is a nonprofit international organization advocating for the rights of animals to live free on their own terms, and Jennifer Riley, also an attorney whose practice includes animal rights issues. She's with the firm Rubin, Glickman, Steinberg, and Gifford. That's in the Philadelphia area. Whew, just the credentials of the four of you takes up all my oxygen. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for being with us. I certainly appreciate it. This topic every year surprises me, the amount of response that we get on it, because people feel very passionately about animals. Lee, why do you think that is? Why do we have such a connection and feel so strongly in the debate, man versus deer?
Well, Lynn, we're part of a bio-community, and we know it.
And what does that mean for you? When you say you're part of this bio-community, explain that a little further.
Well, you know, recently, in October of this year, the human population turned 7 billion. Mm-hmm. Now, anyone who was alive in the 1940s remembers it when it was just 2 billion. So this issue is becoming, as you said, it's a yearly issue, it's a yearly debate, but it's more important than ever, and it's more tense than ever, because we are seeing humans developing into the natural bio-community, and the question is whether we're going to be a part of it, whether we are going to respect ourselves as members of a bio-community, or whether we are at war with that bio-community.
Do you find, gentlemen, that it is sometimes almost characterized as a war? I mean, people feel so passionate about it?
Well, sometimes it becomes almost warlike because of the passion of the people involved in both sides of the issue. And I know from my experience in Philadelphia in dealing with the problem, people who are tremendously interested and passionate about the subject and feel that the natural areas belong to them, but also feel that they belong to the deer as well.
Okay, Jennifer, I want to bring you into the conversation. What's the main objection to having a state-sanctioned hunt to so-called cull the herds?
Well, in addition to the fact that it's cruel, it's a lethal method that offers no alternative. But more importantly, what it is an extermination, really, of the animals. It's not just a hunt. My understanding is they're going to use sharpshooters to be in the national park to actually target and execute the deer. And that's something higher, it's a deeper form of cruelty than I think anyone can really be comfortable with.
Now, when you say the national park, in this particular case, you're talking about Valley Forge, but as we have viewers all over the country, these things happen in parks all across the country. Do you find it inhumane or cruel, or is it a way to actually make the remaining deer population more prosperous and to be able to flourish more?
Well, I think there's some misconceptions. Lee indicated that, you know, the human population is expanding, and really the human population in the eastern United States is just simply making better deer habitat. Deer are not deep forest creatures. They live on the edge. They live along power lines, along highways, in our suburbs. We've turned the world green in the wintertime with all our imported plants, and so deer have never had it so good. And unfortunately, it's all the other members of the biocommunity, the birds, the butterflies, the beetles, they're the ones who suffer because the habitat's being changed.
Okay, you don't have to explain that the rest of the biosystems are affected because there are more deer. How would they be influenced?
Well, the deer are so numerous because they have more food than they've ever had before in the wintertime. They're not more numerous because there are a lack of predators or because you know, somehow we've taken away their natural controls. They're more numerous because we let sunlight hit the ground everywhere. We grow crops, landscape plants, fertilize plants. And the deer convert all of that sunlight and all of that fertilizer into more deer. And when they do that, then they go into the forest and they consume the entire understory of the forest, and that impacts all the other animals in the food chain.
See, I hadn't heard that argument before, so that's interesting. If you want to weigh in and tell us what you think, once you've heard from all of our guests, you can go ahead and email me right now. It's interesting because where I live, there are deer everywhere, and I see on the side of the road carcasses all the time. Is that any less humane to be run over by a car or a truck, or to be perhaps injured but not killed, than to have an organized hunt where you're pretty much sure that it's going to be quick and painless, or at least quick?
It certainly is less cruel. Although it's unfortunate both for people and for the deer. It's a very unfortunate reality that we deal with, having the luxury of living in an area where we are blessed with natural habitats and national parks. But that having been said, there's something much more purposeful and much more, I keep going back to the word cruel because it really is the word to use. There's something much more purposeful about targeting a living being and making it a point to actually put an end to that animal's life.
Well, we have a situation specifically in Philadelphia where you mentioned some of the cruelty of deer being hit on the side of the road and things like that. One ancillary benefit of our project over the past 12 years has been the drastic reduction in the number of deer vehicle accidents that take place in and around Philadelphia, and especially around the roads in Philadelphia.
In fact, at one point before the culling was initiated, there were like 200 or 300 car accidents a year just in one area involving deer, and now it's down to like under 100 or less than 50.
Before we started our project in 1999, there was nearly 300 deer vehicular collisions a year in Philadelphia, and that number is now down under 50.
Okay.
So forest regeneration, all these other benefits are certainly our primary goal, but that ancillary effect has been very dramatic as well. Okay, you've heard a little bit from both sides on this issue. We're going to give you an opportunity to weigh in here, but we do have to take a short break first. If you want to tell us what you think, email me during the break. And if you want to find out what the other viewers have to say, you have to stay with us. In 2 minutes, we're going to share some of those comments.